What's up, people? I am back for another video. We will be talking about. I haven't talked about wrestling in this channel for a while, so I just felt like I wanted to talk about that. But tomorrow, I was gonna do Foreigner because I was gonna do that the other day, but since Joey Jordison, he was the ex drummer of Slipknot, just since he died, I just feel like it's topical. So I'm gonna talk about Slipknot tomorrow, and I'm gonna probably do a fixing. I'm leaning on either doing AVP Requiem or even like Civil War. So one of those two movies are gonna get fixed. So, but Joey Jordan. With today's video, drop something. Today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the state of wrestling in 2021. You know, because I'm a wrestling fan and I haven't done a wrestling related video in a few months. So I was like, alright, we'll do a wrestling related video right now. But today, we're going to be talking about, like I said, the state of wrestling overall. So not just WWE, AEW, and stuff like that. And I'm just going to say it. I'm not a fan. There's some decent things going on right now. Like, you got Roman Reigns, but he's literally carrying WWE like by himself. He's the only thing I would even say that's good right now. You know, Bobby Lashley is good, and I like Bobby Lashley, and I'm happy that he's finally WWE champion. But the issue is the dude hasn't had any legitimate contenders, and that's because once again, I've said this for a while. Wrestling no longer is about having a character. It's this weird focus on this. We gotta focus on the athleticism. You gotta focus on being good in the ring. When you get all you get is these pointless 20-minute matches, and I think AEW is the same problem. And you know, you're hearing these rumors, oh, we're gonna get CM Punk, and I'm gonna do a video one day because I'm a guy who was a CM Punk fan, like at the height of the whole summer Punk. But to me, the dude's a piece of shit in real life, so I'm gonna go into him one day. But AEW's good. It's like AEW to me. The problem with them is, to me, they're bargain WCW. It's the same problem. We're just gonna try to get all these WWE guys, who, in my opinion, a lot of them aren't great. Like Dean Ambrose. I never was a Dean Ambrose guy, and to me, we're gonna have him be Dean Ambrose. We're just gonna change his name, but he's basically Dean Ambrose. But I guess he can bleed. That's it. That's the only difference, is he can bleed. It's really stupid. Like, AEW just doesn't want to focus on its own, and you got WWE who's still just focused on no longer focusing on character. I feel like a lot of the people in the back in current WWE just almost don't tell the athletes, you gotta be more than just a fucking athlete who's just good in the ring. They almost like don't tell them to be a character. It's this weird focus on it, because I hate to say it, you know, because there's a term I usually use. It's called smaraku. That's all they focus on. And unfortunately, WWE, and not just WWE, wrestling in general is catering to these people. So the casuals aren't there, and casuals aren't going to want to watch. I'm not against having great matches. I think great matches are awesome, but to me, what makes a great match is storytelling. You want to know something? The 80s. You want to know why the 80s was awesome? Because of characters. Yeah, the 80s didn't have the best fucking work rate in the fucking world. You know, it wasn't about the in-ring. Because in the 80s, it was very much basic moves. Suplex, body slam. Those were finishers back then. But it was about being a larger-than-life character. And then people like to always say, when you bring stuff like this up, oh, you just want big guys. No. Stone Cold was never the biggest dude in the world. I'm like, Stone Cold was like the biggest name in wrestling in the 90s. And dude was never the biggest dude. He was way smaller than Hogan. Honestly, even compared to The Rock, and definitely Triple H, Austin was never that jacked. He was never the tallest dude in the world either. Like, so it's this weird, like, they like to say we only care about when we say larger than life. For me, it's I think Shawn Michaels had a larger than life personality. And obviously, he's not the biggest dude in the world. But it was about being a good character. And you know, the wrestling in a way came second. I remember the days when Raw and SmackDown, you didn't have a million matches a week. You would just have just the story building. You know, yes, sometimes you'd have a match, but you were able to have a good match in like 10 minutes. The days, like, and you would have the big 20, 30-minute match at the pay-per-view. It's not like that now. We gotta have a 20 to 30-minute match every fucking week that has no story. That is about, oh, guys, they can do a million flips. And then the other issue is no psychology. Like, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso is the only match in, like, recent memory that I can say that feels like there was storytelling in there. Unfortunately, it just, WWE and all these companies have lost that. They think it's just about these crazy moves. When no. Like, when I watch wrestling compilations now, they're not even fun because it's all the same, oh, super kick, dive, you know, just super more kicks. It's the same shit. Back in the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era, you had a different type of wrestler. You know, you had your bigger, you know, wrestlers like, you know, your powerhouses, but then you would have sometimes your brawlers, your technicians, your high fly. Like, you almost had like a different type. Not everyone was the fucking same. You know, in as the old SmackDown versus Raw games, you would have the showmen who were basically people like The Rock. I would even put Stone Cold and John Cena there, who were like about like their character. Like, and it just, that art's lost now because no one wants to be that. Roman Reigns is the only one who I feel like has a character, and then a lot of the leftovers. But when you have this current roster, we always cry about Goldberg coming back, but Goldberg's the only one that brings ratings every week. Like Goldberg or not, that's what's happening. These current wrestlers don't draw, but then they want to cry about stupid tier lists. And then look at the women. They don't let the women be the women anymore because people say, like, oh, the term diva. And I'm not even saying it needs to be just bra and panties every week. I'm not one of those. I do think that element, someone needs to come back because people like to trash the diva era, but I'm going to say it. Those women had characters. You had, not all the women were the same type of, unfortunately, the women now have the same problem as the men. You just gotta focus on work rate, and if you're not that, they don't want to take you seriously. They have women like WWE, right? They have women like Mandy Rose, but they never want to do anything with her because, unfortunately, because I hate to say it, there are SJWs in wrestling now. But also, I just feel like people would cry that she's not the most technical wrestler in the world. So that's why I feel like she doesn't get a push because they feel like she's that remnants of the diva era. But those divas had characters. Had character. Like, look at Melina. She was like the bitchy, when she was a heel anyway. You know, bitchy woman. Then you had Mickie James, who was like the super face, right? And then you had Trish Stratus. All the women had different characters. You know, it just, unfortunately they got rid of that. But they want to trash women like Sable. But Sable brought in ratings, and not just because she's hot. People want to say that's all it was. No, it was because she had character. She knew how to be a bitch. That's what it was. But that's the problem with wrestling. There's no characters now. It's only like, and I'm not saying you need to have like a garbage man kind of character, but you need like, when I watched wrestling, I watched it for story and then larger than life characters. The other problem is the lack of theme song. I remember even like today, right? I was watching a segment. I was watching the Rock Austin promo from 17 with Limp Bizkit. Like Limp Bizkit or not. I remember the days you had promos that were like set up the match, and you had like the badass metal song, and they just got rid of that. It's because WWE wants to be hip now, so we gotta play like this modern crap. It's really sad because like those promos are what made those matches. Like Rock versus Austin for 17 is my favorite promo of all time. But then you got even like the one for 19. which also had a Limp Bizkit song. You had Triple H versus Goldberg, Unforgiven with Seven Dust, like Survivor Series '02 with Saliva, doing the song Always. You don't have those promos anymore. It's just because it's WWE trying to be hip, so they got to play like a lot of this modern crap songs. When WWE, the mid 2000s WWE is what made me like those old SmackDown versus Raw games is what made me a rock and metal fan. A lot of the bands like Seven Dust, Drowning Pool, Disturbed, a lot of the bands, Limp Bizkit, those bands are how I found those bands was WWE, and it's just unfortunately today's WWE they're so scared. I know NXT they do some metal music, but unfortunately NXT just doesn't appeal to me either. It's the same problem. There's no characters there minus I think there's this dude named Karrion Kross who looks he has an interesting look to him. But besides him, nobody appeals to me. Because there's no characters now. It's like I said, it's about being, you gotta be the best athlete. And that's not what made wrestling wrestling. Hulk Hogan, people like to shit on him. Oh, he's not the most technical. Hogan made WWE. He didn't need to be the most technical wrestler in the world. Dude had some of the best charisma in the world. Same thing with The Rock. Yeah, The Rock eventually did work on his in-ring skills a bit, but to me, what made The Rock was his character. Same thing with Stone Cold. Triple H was always the more technical of the three, in my humble opinion. Between him, Rock, and Austin, Triple H was always the more technical. But Triple H still understood you had to be a character. Kurt Angle, the best, probably one of the best in-ring competitors ever. But he understood you can't just fucking bank on that. So Kurt Angle became a character. And that's why he's so beloved. Yes, he's awesome in the ring, but for me, it's because he's an awesome character. He's a larger-than-life character. That's lost now. Even in the names. Like, no one has really any unique name now. It's all just, like, Seth. Roman Reigns is kind of a cool name. But, like, you get, like, Kofi. Okay. Like, no cool names anymore. Just, I don't know, man. I used to really love wrestling. I just watch old shit now. Like in terms of wrestling, I just watch old Attitude Era and some old WCW stuff and Ruthless. I can't watch current wrestling. Besides keeping up whatever Roman's doing, that's all I do. I just there's no story to wrestling now because this weird like it's only about work rate. So, but other than that, I've been wanting to rant about wrestling for a while. So I just didn't see how I could fit it in. But tomorrow we will be talking about Slipknot because R.I.P. Joey Jordison. So I'm gonna be talking about Slipknot tomorrow, and then we're gonna be doing a fixing tomorrow, and then next week one of the reviews I know we'll be doing is Lake Placid. So that's one definite review next week, and I'll see what else is going on. But yeah, as usual, fuck Warner Brothers, fuck Disney. Fuck LaBitch James. And definitely fuck Kevin Smith, sorry. Fuck Kevin Smith. Cheers. But as usual, talk to you guys tomorrow. I get there are people who want to hope wrestling gets better. I just don't think it won't. I just think wrestling is just it's just passed by the wayside to me. So, but other than that, talk to you guys later. Peace.